Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 99. Ooh, we're one away.
Oh, gosh. We're going to have to respace everything when we're going to have 3 digits in the next
I know. Or, much like something we'll talk about in a minute, we will default to 00 and nothing will work.
Oh, my God. What a time. 1999.
Well, there's no point in ignoring the elephant in the room. It was Y2K. That is all anyone talked about in 1999 is that we were going to go back to the Stone Ages or the Dark Ages. All the computers were, all these brilliant computers were too stupid to know that a year was 4 digits.
I mean, why did everybody think that's what was going to happen?
Because all the brains told us that.
I mean, there are so many great accomplishments that mankind had up until this point. Why could we not figure out? It was basically, we'll see. There was no like, oh, wait, there was something that you could do to your computer that was like, oh, you need to run this and it'll update it and make it. But it didn't matter, right?
Yeah, it didn't. It turned out just to be a little whimper. A few programs, I guess, had issues with it, but nothing that the government used and nothing that really mattered to anyone. So just moved along. Other thing that people were talking about at the start of the year, our wonderful president, Bill Clinton, was impeached in the U.S. Senate.
For not having sexual relations with that woman, but for lying about it.
Yep. And he ended up being acquitted, and he got off scot-free. And no one ever talked about it again.
Right, because none of that's true.
What,
he wasn't acquitted, was he?
Yeah, he was impeached in the House and then acquitted in the Senate.
Oh, I thought that he was censured, though, wasn't he?
If he was, that's different than being impeached. He was never fully impeached. He was impeached by the House, but the Senate never...
Oh, I thought they convicted him, but his punishment was that he was censured and not kicked out of office.
I would have to go back and look at that. I don't know that one, but I want.
I mean, I could just be making this up. It happens.
This website I'm on now. This is just a hey, look back at 1999. So this isn't official news. So take it with a grain of salt. But it says he was acquitted of perjury and obstruction of justice. And it also says that during this month, Monica Lewinsky gave an interview to Barbara Walters on 2020, and 50 million people watched. That was less people who watched what actually happened in the White House. This one I found interesting. In 1999, PayPal became a website and was widely panned online by economists who said that is the worst idea we have ever heard. So take that, PayPal, which I believe Elon Musk had something to do with. Wasn't he involved with PayPal? I believe that's where he first got his riches.
Well, we pay for doing this podcast via PayPal, so we are big supporters of the Musk.
Take that, 1999. I wrote down a list of words that appeared in print for the first time in 1999. Oh, yeah,
I saw that list, too.
Bling, blog, blogger, clickbait, e-scooter, e-waste, OPS, texting, and vape all appeared for the first time in print in 1999. Overseas, the euro became the official currency of 12 European nations. That's fun.
Yeah, and now what are they down to 11?
Well, the UK was never part of it in the beginning. They were like, we're not giving up our pound.
Moving on? Hey, they're staying in Pound Town.
I thought this was hilarious. Montana did not have a speed limit on their interstate until 1999.
Huh.
Their only law that they had was they encouraged drivers to drive reasonable and prudent. That was their speed limit. Reasonable and prudent.
That sounds like a really legitimate way to run things. I mean, I'm sure, because no one's going to have different levels of what prudent means. Yeah. So everyone's going to be like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
But also, Montana's a huge state, and in 1999, probably only had like 10 people who lived there, so I think it was fine. They didn't even drive near each other. Top movies of 99. Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Biggest movie of the year. Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2, The Matrix, The Mummy was a big one, and then my personal favorite, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Love that movie. I can still remember going with my family to see that in the theaters, and I was having stomach problems, and I farted the entire movie. Good times. I did. That's a true story.
What? So The Spy Who Shagged Me. There is somebody who every time that runs on TV now is like, remember that time we went and that kid kept farting?
Yep. That was my uncle, actually.
Was it loud? Or was it just
it was mostly silent. There were a couple that, let people know I was there. But they were mostly silent.
Is that why when I go to Regal Cinemas now, the pleather is peeling off the seats?
No, this would have been up in Georgia. This was 99. So if you have, you can't even go to that theater now because it's closed down. Maybe for that reason.
Did it melt? Or just explode?
TV shows that premiered, Law and Order SVU, which I think everyone can agree is the best of the Law and Orders. The Sopranos.
It's not the best of them.
Oh, it absolutely is.
You know why? Because the only Law and Order. I was just telling this to Dylan the other day because some people get annoyed that I watch old episodes of Law and Order. The best episodes of Law and Order ever are the ones where Sam Watterson is the ADA and Jerry Orbach is the cop.
I do love I don't care. Sam Waterston, but no, I could watch SVU all day. One or two episodes into regular Law and Order, I got to turn it off.
I watch
they're
it
old
all
and
day.
They're boring.
That's what I put on and watch. And then the guy Jesse L. Martin, and Jerry Orbach, those two. He was he's in that show now. That's the Irrational. But he was the original Tom Collins in Rent.
Tom Holland, I know him.
Tom Collins in Rent.
No, I don't know her. So The Sopranos,
uncultured people,
which was a huge shift
show
in the way television was viewed. And then two of my personal favorites. One I think that you have personal ties to. SpongeBob SquarePants. Not that one.
Not that one.
And Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, I noticed that. That was the big show. A really big show. I worked there as a production assistant. And probably one of the most irritating jobs I ever had. No, it was fine though. You know what? It was really cool is that one of my many tasks as a production assistant was to make sure that Regis Philbin's dressing room was in order. So I'd pick up his dry cleaning and make sure that he had, what he needed in his space. And one time he was in there and he had this bowl that was on the counter that was empty. And he goes, do you know how many shows I do for them a day? Because he was doing Regis and Kelly at the time.
Yeah.
Or it was Kelly then, right? It wasn't Kathy. It might have been Kathy.
I think that's around the time when he was doing Millionaires when she left and when Kathy Ann left, or Kathy Lee left and Kelly came on.
But he's like, you know how much money I pull in for them, and I do all these shows, like, because he would tape like 3 or 4 shows of Millionaire a day, and he would have this show, and he said, all I ask is that this bowl is full of Reese's peanut butter cups. Do you think they could do that?
Was that your job to do?
No.
Oh.
He was joking around, telling me that needed to be. No, I wasn't admitting I was a terrible employee.
I have this image of Regis like yelling at you, like, I can't believe these people, and you sweating, thinking, oh God, he doesn't know that's my job. He was the
nicest guy, and they gave him a car to go to and from the studios, but he would walk all the time. He's like, I live in New York. I want to walk. I want to meet the people.
Oh, that's nice.
And so he was really cool. And I'd like to say that I stole his shoes. I don't know if you would say I stole them or if you would say that his wardrobe person did. But on my last day there, the wardrobe guy was like, "What size shoe are you?" And I told him, he was like, you want these? And they were a pair of Regis' shoes. I was like, hell yeah, I do. I used to wear them and tell people all the time, these are Regis' shoes.
Nice.
So now listen, if you work for ABC, come on, the show's not even on anymore.
Do you still have them?
Like, do not send me a bill, please.
What happened to the shoes?
Well, I wore them. They wore out.
Oh.
I wore them all the time.
Wore out, I wouldn't have thrown them out.
I was super poor.
I'd have bronzed
the nicest
them and
shoes
put
I
them
ever
on
had.
a shelf.
They may have also been the shoes. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe they were the shoes that, because I think Dana Carvey came to the thing and did like a spoof of Regis doing the show, and they might have been Dana Carvey's shoes. I don't know. Anyway, they were somebody's. They weren't mine. They are now. But they're trash now.
Oh. Back to the earth they go.
Yeah.
Some of the big songs of 99. It was the year of TLC. No Scrubs. Love that song. Because you know why that was a big hit? 'Cause nobody wants No Scrubs.
Nobody wants a scrub except Nurse Blake. He likes fancy scrubs.
Oh, that's true. Nurses want scrubs. Whitney Houston did Heartbreak Hotel, which was a good song. Smooth. Excuse me. That got me all choked up.
Remember that your
Smooth
jam?
With I do love that song with Santana and the Matchbox 20 guy. Rob
Thomas.
Rob Thomas.
Jen loves Rob Thomas.
Interesting.
Loves Rob Thomas.
I wonder if that's a thing with girls who hang out with gay guys, because when I met Gary, his Jen, the version of his
I thought
Jen.
you were going to say that he loved Rob Thomas.
No,
I'm like, is he a girl?
The girl that hung out with him, who was his version of Jen, was obsessed with Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20. And it was back in the days when you burned CDs, and I had a bunch of Matchbox 20 CDs. She goes, would you burn those all for me?
Well, shout out to my friend Melinda, who was best friends with an ex of mine, BJ. What was his name? And she was in love.
Believe you.
She loved Rob Thomas. It's just his name. Wasn't a nickname.
And she loved Rob Thomas? I think we're onto something.
I think we're
here.
onto something. So listen, guys, if you're out there and you're married to a woman who loves Rob Thomas, she thinks you're gay.
And one of the biggest hits of the year, Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin.
I wrote that down. It also was the year that gave us Baby One More Time, right?
Well, it came out in 98, but
it was chart topper in 99.
That and Believe by Cher both came out in 98, but topped the charts in 99.
I do want to point out, I was mesmerized by The Sixth Sense. It was the first time that I had seen a movie that had like a surprise ending.
Yeah.
And it was a super surprise. And I was very, there are things that our country is not able to do. But they kept that secret. And I'm proud of them. Good job.
I mean, I
Good
think
job,
what helped with that
America.
secret is it was early internet days. So a lot of people couldn't go online and get spoilers. You were spoiled face to face, like the good old days. But yeah, so
I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. Spoiled face to face. I couldn't come up with a joke fast enough, but it made me laugh.
I too remember seeing The Sixth Sense in theaters and be just my mind blown.
Yeah.
And then talking to people afterwards, like, I got it like in the first 5 minutes. Well, good for you. I'm sorry you ruined your movie going experience.
Well, and I'm glad that you're a fucking liar. Because you're full of shit. You didn't get it at all. Do you know when I got it? When she dropped the ring watching the video. That's when I got it.
Yeah. Did your theater collectively all go, because mine did. There's something about a movie when you're all not getting it and you all get it at the same time that
That's really cool.
It's one of the greatest feelings in the world.
And then I like The Others a lot. Did you see that? I didn't get that either.
Oh, yeah.
I knew something was up, but I didn't get what it was.
Yeah.
And then when I figured it out, I was like, oh my God.
I knew it had something to do with that because I unfortunately read an article talking about The Others and it compared it to The Sixth Sense right after I had seen it. And it was like, similar to The Sixth Sense twist ending. And I was like, you motherfuckers. You ruined it for me. But I didn't know how the ending would go, but that was a good movie too.
God, I hate people that are like, you know what? One of the phrases I hate the most in this world, I hope that I'm not negative the whole fucking podcast, are when people say, I knew it.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. That's like when you watch a reality show and somebody gets sent home and they're like, I knew it was going to be me. Did you?
Yeah. You wouldn't be on the show if you knew you weren't going to do it.
Right. You didn't know until they told you. Oh, it makes me crazy. Anyway, so I would point that out. But a couple of things. Did you say Blair Witch?
No, because I just did the top that were in the top 10. But
I just do ones that I
Blair Witch
like.
was a big hit.
Blair Witch came out that year. American Pie. Also, the greatest rom-com ever made, Notting Hill.
Yeah.
So good. And then one of the funniest, stupidest movies, Office Space.
Oh, I love Office Space.
That. Stapler. My stapler.
Office Space was one of the movies that did not do well in the theaters and got like a cult following.
Yeah, it's
afterwards.
got a cult following. Yeah. So then I wrote this down because it struck me as very weird. A popular fashion choice of 1999. Like, why would, like, it must have been so popular that they said, hey, we're going to write this in this article. Denim on denim. I believe they call that the jersey tuxedo.
I mean, that was there were people doing that back in the 70s.
Well, it must have made a comeback.
I feel like the comeback was when Justin shirt. And Britney wore it, but that was like early 2000s.
Yeah. And then I like to write these things down. Gas was $1.19, and eggs 97 cents, which was up a whopping 9 cents from the year before.
Mm. And much like now, because of the price of eggs, they voted in a Republican.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what they're gonna say in 2 years? What the price of eggs is? What are eggs? They don't have any. They're all gone. Just kidding.
Oh, I thought you were saying what are eggs because we're doing away with the Department of Education and nobody would know what that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one's going to know what eggs are because they're all going to be dead from polio.
Not me. I'm vaccinated.
I mean, come on. Anyway, seriously, you know what we don't have? We don't have polio. Let's bring that back. Did you watch the SNL joke about that?
No, I didn't watch
the joke
SNL.
was like, that RFK Jr. had said that we're going to that he's asked the FDA to get rid of the polio vaccine because Christmas just isn't the same without Tiny Tims.
Sad.
It's funny until it's not.
Until we all have polio.
So that was all fun. 1999, good year.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we go into the hundreds. That might be the end of this unless anyone really gives a shit about the 2000s.
Yeah. If you do, let us know.
We'll circle back once we're into the 1940 or the 2040s, and we're doing like episode 940.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to this.
Back in murder. When 1999, though, I'll just point out that New Year's Eve, 1999, I have this story that could go on for 45 minutes. All I'm going to say is
you have 27.
I turned up a bottle of Goldschlager instead of a bottle of champagne, and a friend of mine did that, and nothing good came out of that.
Nothing good ever comes out of turning up a bottle of Goldschlager.
It was quite the ordeal. Anyway.
That was the choice of drink back in those days.
We had big weeks. Both of us. We had big weeks. How was yours? I know you did something really awesome.
It was really it was a really busy week. But so we'll hit on the highlights. The first big thing, only thing I cared about, is we went to the Candle Light Processional and got to see Brendan Fraser do the reading of the birth of Jesus. And he was delightful. Because I had never seen him in person. And I have always enjoyed the Fraser.
That is Brendan.
Not Fraser, who is Kelsey Grammer. Although I do enjoy that one too.
I kind of like that show.
Yeah,
I even like the reboot.
I got to start watching the reboot, but I haven't watched it.
It takes a season and a half to get into it, but I did. I love the guy that plays Niles' son. I think he's the best person on the show.
I'll have to check it out.
They get you choked up, Niles. Are you sad that he's not
knocking my microphone around? So I was curious because whenever I see him on movies or in interviews on TV, he just like exudes joy and niceness and just seems to be all those good qualities you want in a person.
And what if he was like a dick?
And I was like, all right, everyone, shut the hell up. Jesus.
I'm speaking.
But he got up there and was just so nice. And as the band was playing, he was just like smiling and he's like making these weird faces like, oh my gosh, that's like he wanted them to see how much he really enjoyed their playing. But he was just so nice and was just such a warm hug. on that cool evening.
Now, when you saw it, the chorus, were they kids or were they adults?
They were like young adults, I guess.
Okay, because the middle is always the Voices of Liberty, and sometimes they get high school students to be the chorus, and sometimes they get choruses around. Yeah. And when I saw it, it was an older group of people. But can you just imagine? Like, it sounded good. I assume it sounded
beautiful.
Great.
It was amazing,
it sounded beautiful, and it's like this professional. Everything is professional about it. And I didn't think about this until I saw Titus Burgess do it.
Yeah,
and he just after a song, he would just say like, "Y'all, are you hearing what I'm hearing?" He's like, "I don't know what it sounds like to you, but right here, this is insanity." And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be so awesome? They have the best job. They're right there in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like, all the music is around them, all the singing is around them, and they must have the best seat in the house.
Or the loudest.
I mean, come on, it's got to be loud though. Like, I mean, that kind of loud music when it's beautiful like that, I would love it.
I don't know. I like to be a little away from it. I don't like to feel it in my chest while it explodes. But no, it was fantastic. It was beautiful, and it was a nice, cool evening. So we wore our little Christmas sweaters, and beforehand we did the dining thing, and we went to the Coral Reef.
Oh, the Coral Reef. That's not bad.
Which was delicious and amazing. And the waiter was super friendly and took photos for us, and it was just a good time.
Did they tell you all about the tank and how many gallons it is and the different kinds of fish and sharks that they have there?
He did a little bit, but my brother's girlfriend works at Disney, so she was a plethora of Disney knowledge and told us everything while we ate. But it was delightful because there were like giant sharks there, and then there were divers in there while we were there. So it was really nice. It was a good time. Like, expensive, but a good time.
Yeah, and you can pay, and they'll have the divers like have a sign or something.
Yeah, that's what she said. That people do like marriage proposals and stuff,
happy birthdays and shit like that.
So yeah, it was really cool.
I'm surprised, like, for it being so much cheaper than the other restaurants, the food was super good.
Yeah.
It's just like it's away from the countries, so I think it gets a bad rep, but it's really good food.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Good.
I had the seafood boil, and it was fantastic. My brother did the surf and turf, so we were trying all the different stuff. It's good. It's fantastic. Nice. The bread, bring a loaf of bread out, it was amazing, and it had like this pineapple butter spread, and we went through, no joke, 4 loaves of bread. We were grossly stuffed. But
how many people were at the table?
3. But yeah, I went through most of it. I was digging the bread.
Hey, I mean, if it's good, it's good, right?
So we did that on Wednesday, and then walked around Epcot and had a good time. Did a little shopping. And then on Thursday, went and got to see the week before when we had gone seen the stakes be put in.
I was very sad.
We got to see the actual tent up, and it's awesome. It's amazing.
I would like to ask a question.
Absolutely.
How did the Buddy Dyer's steak hold up? Did he hit it in front?
Nothing fell down. The tent stayed up the entire time, and they were doing weird, crazy things swinging in there. So if that spike was not secure, it could have been dangerous for us all. So shout out to Mayor Buddy Dyer
for us safe.
Keeping us safe.
Good job.
Unfortunately, it's just for a few more years, because this morning Anna Eskamani announced that she's going for his seat. So even if he decides that I'm not, you know what, I do want another term, I don't think he'd be able to swing it against Anna.
You don't think so?
I think that would be an interesting.
I think she's very loved in this community.
I think she's beloved in Orlando, and I think people are like, 20 years is enough, buddy. It's time to move on.
I gotta say, you know what I like about her? She gets shit done.
Yeah.
And she's not afraid to talk to everybody. You know, like when COVID was happening, I'd send her a message and she was right on top of getting back to me and like, well, let's see what I can find out for you. Well, I mean, sometimes there's no information to get, but she's like, I hear you, I'm here for you. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I don't know how this whole process works. Like, was there a meeting of people who were like, hey, I might want to be mayor, and they were like, this person's going to run, or does that happen? Or do you think that you're going to see like other people? Like, I'm just curious if city council members are going to say, well, I'm going to run.
Yeah. I think that Anna is so beloved that I think any Democrat who would run against her would be stupid. I think it would be a waste of your money. It would be a waste of our time. I can't think of anyone right now who would be available to run who would be able to beat Anna. Now, I'm sure there'll be a couple of Republicans that go up in there, but As far as Democrats, I think it would be ridiculous for anyone to try to run against her.
Well, I feel like we should continue that trend of Watermark employees running for mayor.
Are you making an announcement?
Please. I don't want to waste my money. I mean, I think my mom would vote for me. I think she's in the voting area.
Oh, your mom would vote for you. I live outside of the city limits, so I cannot
you don't have
vote.
to vote. See, look, you can say, I can't vote for you.
I can't vote. I'll still donate to Anna, though. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to donate to races I can't vote in. So the show was fantastic. It's Cirque mechanics. It's like, the Cirque. I don't know if it's the same Cirque as like Cirque du Soleil or they just use the word Cirque.
They probably couldn't.
But it's all the same.
I'm sure it's copywritten.
Yeah, it's all the, riding bikes on one finger and, flipping around in the air and jumping up on trampoline, all that stuff. And it's fantastic. They're all in the makeup and it's a show that's all very French that I can't follow, but it's all fantasant. It's a great show, and it's going
Crazy
on.
Clown antics.
It's going on until
French
the 29th. So if you want to go sit in a tent on the lawn of the Dr. Phillips Center and enjoy an amazing show,
I was very sad to see that invite. I was happy for you, but sad for me. I was in New York, and I saw the invite, and I was like, darn it.
Yeah, but it was a fantastic show. And then what else did we do? While you were, we've got to get to you because you've been gone this week, and I can see you moving at your eyes. You're like, I don't care what you have to say. Get it out.
No.
I've got a whole week of vacation to talk about.
I'm like listening to everything that you said, and I'm thinking, yeah, I had a better week. Yeah, I had a better week. So that's all I'm thinking. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Let's talk about your week then. How was your week?
It was all right.
Yeah.
No, I had a great week.
Yeah.
I went to New York.
Yeah, you got a little vacation.
I did. It was a little vacation. I mean, of course, I go on vacation and then like everything technology breaks down, and I end up having to work to try to help get all that, in place. So, but it was fine. It was easy fixes and that kind of thing. But the trip was great.
The pain of owning a company.
I mean, here's how the trip came about. We were in D.C. and Dylan's cousin was getting married. And his uncle, who we go up to New York and visit and go see shows with, we got no conversation. He said, when's the next time you're coming to New York? And I said, I want to see Audrey McDonald and Gypsy. And so whenever we need to make that happen, let me know. And he said, come up here. We'll get the tickets. Let's do it. And I booked it right away. And so this was that trip to go up there and see that. So it was great. Flew into LaGuardia. And rented a car, which I will say I will never do again.
A good experience?
No, like, listen, if you fly into Newark, where you're like in Jersey a little bit, then it's great. And, even if you go in the holiday times, it's all fine. Fly into Jersey, rent a car, and that's because we were staying in Newport, which is about an hour and a half up from the city. So we were going to need a car, so that was fine. But I might just say we're just going to stay in the city and we can all meet up there because it was super expensive to rent the car. It was basically $600 to rent the car for 4 days, which is a shock to me. And then it's just like the insanity of the traffic of, getting back to the airport was the worst thing. We thought midday on a Saturday would be easy, but no, it was crazy and people were driving like insane. So anyway, so we get there. It's cold, right? I don't know what the nice sweater weather was for you.
It was a beautiful week. Yeah.
But there was.
In fact, as soon as you left, the clouds parted, the sun shined. It was amazing. Here, all. I'm kidding. It was nice.
The flowers sang.
They did. Birds flew to the window and. Hi, Jeremy. They spoke. The birds spoke to me.
All those people in comas woke up. It was like the awakening.
No, it was fine. It was good.
It got the coldest it got was 12 degrees.
Oh, Jesus. It didn't get that bad here.
But it was I think it was 20 degrees when we were standing outside at TKTS to get tickets. So anyway, I just wanted so first night we just kind of stayed and had a nice dinner. The second night we went in to see Audrey McDonald and Gypsy. And I cannot say, all I can say about it is that it was the best show I have ever seen in my life. And nothing will ever be this. I can't even describe the talent. She is so talented. I don't know what the tour is going to be like, who's going to be in the tour or whatever it's going to be. Now, when Bette Midler was in
Hello Dolly,
Betty Buckley did the tour.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they're going to get to do the tour. I really doubt Audrey McDonald is going to do it.
Betty Buckley.
But she is so insanely good. We were a little concerned because she's a soprano and this is like a belter's musical.
Yeah.
We were concerned that she wasn't going to be able to do that, and she didn't, and it didn't matter. She belted out some of it, but she hit those high soprano notes in this operatic kind of a style during a lot of the songs, but it worked. She is by far the most talented actress I think that I've ever seen in a musical. And so she really, like, this character evolved in this amazing way. And to her performance when she sings that big number at the end, curtain up, light the lights, and does this whole thing. I have never experienced this. At the end of that, the entire theater stood up and clapped for well over a minute. And it delayed the show. It well over 60 seconds. It was the kind of a thing where Dylan was sitting there. You do that sometimes, and everybody around you is standing, and you're like, I'm not getting up.
Yeah,
I'm not getting up. And then it went on, and it went on. And I'm not geting. Okay, fine, I'll stand up. And then after that,
that's why they were going. They were waiting for Dylan to get up.
To stand up.
Now I will say, I won't say who posted it because I don't think you're supposed to do this, but somebody recorded that song, and I listened to her sing, and it was a little pitchy. I'm going
to say, and I told this because somebody earlier told me that they watched this, and I said that the reason that you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't watch this, because that is a moment in this of the portrayal of this character where when you want to really enjoy that, you watch the evolution of this person and the de-evolution of them and their hopes and dreams that get crushed and lead to that moment. It makes it stunning. It's just incredible. So Audrey McDonald is a goddess. There is no way, I don't care what the scuttlebutt is, there is no way Audrey McDonald doesn't win this Tony. And so it's just amazing. I will point out that Joy Woods plays Louise, and she was stunning. She made her Broadway debut in 6. Just made that note, but she was amazing. Danny Burstein was Herbie. I don't know if you all know who he is, but I will tell you that he starred as Ziegler in Moulin Rouge when it opened on Broadway and won a Tony for that. Yeah. But he's been in a lot of stuff. He's apparently a Broadway legend. James McMiniman. Anyway, he's from Orange is the New Black. He played the guard.
Hot guard.
No.
Well,
I don't know. I shouldn't have said it like that because he may be hot to you. So I don't know. Oh, not the one with the one leg. Wasn't there the hot guy? He had one leg.
Did he have one? I don't remember. Yeah. It's been a while since I did the show. I remember the one hot guard who got the girl pregnant.
Yeah, he had one leg. This was
never mind. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the guy that was dating I'm going to say Pensatucky, but is that, I'm thinking of Puxatawny Phil, aren't I? No, the crackhead girl, and he used to drive the van, and she would get in the van.
Oh, yes.
That guard.
She is crazy in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
She had a meltdown on, I want to say TikTok or Instagram, one of those. If it's the girl I'm thinking of, it's the...
she had like the messed up teeth.
Yeah, she had a meltdown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got to watch some of the videos. She went cray-cray.
So that was incredible. Like, that experience was incredible. We ate at Junior's beforehand. I don't know if you've ever been eating at Junior's in Manhattan. It was just great. Ice cream, sodas, all the bells and whistles, all the points. I ate 1,000 points a day when I was there. So it was really good. Day 3, we stayed in New Paltz. We went to the Mills Mansion in Stottsburg, which is a Gilded Age home. And it's one of 5 homes that the Mills family owned. And it was beautiful. It was a great experience. And then So day 4 was for Dylan and I to go back to the city and do whatever we wanted.
Just be yourselves.
Because we've got to go eat at Joe's Shanghai. Every time we go there, we get their soup dumplings, and it's the first place I ever had soup dumplings, and I love them, and so we went there. We left there, went to TKTS, and we stood in about 20-degree weather because we're like, we're going to go see another show. We just, we didn't plan on what it was going to be because we didn't know what would be available.
Yeah.
But while we were standing in line, I guess there's this thing, right, where I was like all week I was telling, well, this is your birthday trip, so whatever you want to do. And then I would be like, whatever you want to do. So you want to see Sunset Boulevard? So whatever you want to do. Do you want to see? But it was just because Nicole Scherzinger is starring in it.
Scherzinger.
Scherzinger? Scherzinger. That's what. Scherzinger. Scherzinger. Yes. Nicole is in it, and so we're like, oh, we should go see that. I didn't know anything about it except that she was in it. I mean, I know Sunset Boulevard, right? And I'm a big fan of the music of Sunset Boulevard. So
I've seen Glenn Close, not in person, but on TV. I saw Glenn Close do it, and she's fantastic. They should have got her to do it again.
Now, so you saw this on TV?
Yeah.
Like how? Like at the Tonys? Or like a movie?
No. It's a movie. It's a recording of the Broadway show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may have been a recording of when she did it in L.A. It may not have been Broadway, but it's when Glenn Close did it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the image I have in my head, right? Like there's Glenn Close with this
with the turban on,
with this
flowy,
like really glamorous turban, comes down this huge staircase, right? Yeah. It's this big opulent thing that's amazing. So we get the tickets to see that. So our plan was to get the tickets to TKTS and then go to the Stonewall Museum. But we got TKTS tickets at 4, and I was like, well, we have a couple hours. Let's see where the Stonewall Museum is. Closed at 4. So we didn't get to go see it. So I'm very upset about it. But we'll go back. Okay, so the image that you have of Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, there's a guy who writes for us who like every time I posted anything was like, you got to see Sunset Boulevard, which is probably why I kind of pushed for us to go see it. I can say this. I can say that the cast is very talented, and the 2 big numbers that she had were amazing. She got like a 10-person standing ovation at the end of the second one for about 25 seconds, and you bet I counted. Because I was like,
you were comparing,
yes, and I just loved Audrey McDonald so much, and I hear that Nicole is in the running for the Tony, and so I was comparing, and I was like, So anyway, the show was really good, and if they had called it anything other than Sunset Boulevard, and if her name in the show was anything other than Norma Desmond, I would have loved the show. But here are the problems. It wasn't Sunset Boulevard. And it wasn't Norma Desmond because there was no set. There was a chair, which was like not even as nice as these that we're sitting on.
Oh.
It was like the chairs that we had around the conference table.
Did you stop them after the show and say, "Hey, I know where you can get some nicer chairs"?
I mean, did she cost that much that you couldn't afford anything? So there was a chair and a body bag. That was it.
That's the whole stage.
Her costume was a black slip. That's it. No shoes, like barefoot the whole time.
Interesting.
And it was a concept, and I just didn't appreciate the concept.
Yeah.
So, and they did this homage to like black and white movies because a lot of it, like there's this huge screen behind them. Huge. And so they'd bring a camera up and it'd be in their face and they would project up there. But it was like really close up and she'd make crazy eyes all the time. It was just very odd. It was odd and it was campy. And I did not have an appreciation for the directing choices to do this style, right? So now let's put the style aside. So first of all, that's not Sunset Boulevard, but put the style aside. You got Norma Desmond, right? Who is a has-been actress, right? She's old. She's delusional because she thinks that she's still a star, but partly because her butler makes her think that, and so it's not her fault. So there's this thing. So she's not psychotic. She's just delusional. But she played her psychotic, which was really, really weird. And sometimes she would talk in this weird baby voice, and then she would talk in this old Hollywood voice, and it just didn't make sense to me. But here's the thing that threw me. Like, from this moment on, I was like, okay, this is not Norma Desmond. She's doing this thing where she's dancing around stage, and she's talking
in
to
the slip.
With no shoes. And she's talking to the guy who's the writer, who's like the star. I think it's Joe Gillis is his name. who he was really good. What was his name? Tom
Gillis.
something. Excuse me while I turn this. I should tell you I bought these new readers, and I know you hate them, but I bought them in Newport, and I love them.
I don't
so
hate
if you're
them.
watching the video,
I just want you to know that you're a wizard, Harry.
I just love them. So anyway, she's dancing around, and Tom Francis, that's Joe who plays Joe Gillis. He was really good. So anyway, she does the splits.
All right. I mean, probably easy to do when you're wearing nothing but a slip.
But is it easy to do for an old actress who's washed up? Like, come on.
Is it like one of those things where like you're seeing her how she sees herself and she sees herself as young and youthful and
I don't know, but I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, Norma Desmond, Glenn Close, Patti LuPone, Betty Buckley,
Gloria Swanson.
Can any of them do the splits?
Back in the day, they probably could.
I'm sure they could. I'm sure
but
during
not these
Cats.
days.
I'm sure during Cat, and I'm sure in her heyday, she could do them.
In fact, I know Betty Buckley probably could because that clip that goes around of her when she was in Cats,
yeah,
and she's on the ground, she gets up all fiery and fast.
Yeah,
not these days.
But so you're playing this character that's supposed to be older. And so that just threw me, and then it got worse because then she has this dance segment with the guy Gillis, and they start doing the Running Man, and I'm like, what? I remember at the very beginning of this show, the screen pops up and it says it's 1949. So how are they doing the Running Man? And then she starts doing like the whip and nay thing, and I was like, what? How is that even possible? So I just think that there were. I think the problem here is like I saw Gypsy first.
Yeah,
that's the main problem. So I saw this seasoned actress play true to this amazing story, this amazing character that's been around in this revival was incredible. And then I saw a pop star play at the low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
and so I thought, that's fine. Now, having said that, I mean, it was still a really good show. It was a great. It's like I'm going to talk about Wicked like it was terrible, and I'm going to give it 2.5 grapes. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about this like there were all these issues. But if you can suspend the idea of what Sunset Boulevard is supposed to be, and what Norma Desmond is supposed to be, then you can say, all right, it was a concept, but they're super talented.
Yeah.
There's also this part where they like go outside, and they walk down the street, and the guy's got like the camera's following him, and it's live, and they walk down the street like they block the street off at 44th Street.
I heard that part.
Yeah.
That they
and then
do that,
he comes back in, he's singing Sunset Boulevard, and he kicks the door open, and he sings Sunset Boulevard, and the whole crowd goes fucking ape shit. And I started laughing because I'm like, I mean, it's cool, but it wasn't like. It reminded me of in Frozen when Elsa's dress rips off and there's another dress and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, have you never seen a quick change artist? So it made me laugh. Anyway, it was fine.
I think it'll be interesting come Tony time because I will go on record to say neither one of them are going to win the Tony.
Who do you think it is?
It is going to be Megan Hilty from Death Becomes Her. I say it now. Because I saw clips of it and she's hilarious.
I'm going
and
to tell you.
I love Megan Hilty. I would love for her to win a Tony.
Y'all, I don't know
if she's won a Tony before.
I can't even say like if this then this. I can't do that. All I can say is there is no way.
Here's the only thing she has going against her is she's won like 6 Tonys already, and people like the voting body might be like, all right, that's enough.
Talking about Audra?
Yeah. It's time to give it to someone else. That's the only thing that's going to hold her up from maybe winning.
I mean, if your award is based off of, we don't name people remarkable 2 years in a row most of the time. I mean, I think we did once or twice.
Yeah, we done sometimes.
We'll give it to other people. If that's your model, then she might not. But if your thing is based on the best performance of the year and goes to that person, it is 100% Audrey McDonald.
No award show is 100% based solely on just the performances. There's always politics involved in any award show. If there wasn't, then Crash wouldn't have beat Brokeback Mountain, and Shakespeare in Love wouldn't have beaten Saving Private Ryan. It is that moment in time, and there's always politics involved, and people looking
and
like
Unforgotten wouldn't have beat A Few Good Men.
Or Dances with Wolves wouldn't have beaten Goodfellas.
Oh. There's no way she's not winning. I don't politics, everything. She's stunning. She's just stunning. So anyway, that was my week. It was good.
Beautiful.
And then we went
last night. You came back into town, and we went and saw the Office Holiday Party Musical Extravaganza show at the Renaissance Theater, and it was delightful.
It was delightful.
Cute. You go in, you meet with Jan, who I guess runs human resources. She's secretary of this.
Human resources is the blind
office.
Was the blind
that's
lady.
Right. This fictional office that you're going to their holiday party. And everybody gets name tags that are not your name. It's just a random name. And then you sit in the office, and then there's a little bit of audience participation, which adds a lot of tension to the show because you're not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know this. I hate.
You don't like audience participation.
I hate it. In fact, when they said we sat down and they said, "Oh, you're in really interesting chairs," I almost left.
Yeah,
because I'm like, I don't want anything to do with audience participation. But I guess they get that. They could read that vibe and they're like, we're not going to let this guy fuck up our show. But it didn't bother me. Super talented cast. There are people in this city that can sing.
They sure can.
Like the blind girl. That's the girl that does. Didn't she win a Wave Award?
Possibly.
Wasn't she the Yeti?
So many people win.
Wasn't she the Yeti from the Wave Award party that sat on your lap? The Yeti, like the Sasquatch.
I don't think that
wasn't her.
No, because that's Rita is the one who won. I don't think that was Rita.
Are you sure?
I couldn't tell. She had dark sunglasses on, but yeah, I don't think that was her.
But she belted like she does. She's a good singer.
Yeah.
And there's like the adorable little twink guy in the cast. They don't tell you, like, there's no program, and so I don't know who the cast members are. So I just but he was
They're
was
the usual
good.
players who always do shows at Renaissance.
Was they had a mime.
Yes.
He was so good. Like, he was just, as you watch them, as they're not even, because they just hang around the party. Like it's an office holiday party and they're just mingling in the crowd. But he was just really reacting to everything that was going on, and he was always in it. And I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. I really dug the stripping Santa. That was my favorite part.
They basically had sex on top of Jen.
Yes. They he was grinding on a gentleman who was leaning into Jen. She really had the best seat in the house. It's fantastic. Good holiday themed drinks, and it was cute. Yeah, nicely decorated.
Yeah, well done. Just like they do a really good job at the Renaissance of transforming the space into whatever they're.
Yeah, it's very immersive there.
Yeah, very good. Well done.
That is going on through the month, so check that out. Get your tickets.
Check it out. I think through the 29th or something. So then we decided to watch a show.
Yes.
Now, what did we say? What can possibly make us talk for hours and not allow us to do a short episode? Well, it would be a Netflix show that had 6 episodes.
About 6 hours worth of television. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll do more focus on the first episode to kind of get the layout of, this is what the show is. Hit some of the points in the show. We don't need to give everything away. The show just came out not even 2 weeks ago. Give people some surprises. Yeah. But I thought we'll lay out what the show is and then hit kind of focusing mostly on the gay points, because there's one of the main characters is gay. Did we even say the name of the show yet? It's
no.
Black Doves.
Black Doves
on Netflix. And it stars Keira Knightley and Ben Whishaw, both of who I absolutely love and adore.
Ben Whishaw, is he the dad from Mary Poppins Returns?
Possibly. I don't think I've ever seen Mary Poppins Returns.
Really?
No. That's the one with Emily Blunt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it. I should probably check that out. But let's see. Is he... Let me pull up his filmography while I have it here. It appears... Yes, he is Michael Banks in Mary Poppins Returns.
Not watched. Okay. I'm very surprised by that.
So,
yeah, I thought so. I remember thinking like, oh, the dad's kind of cute. And I remember in this thinking like, oh, he's kind of dorky cute.
Yeah.
He could use a bath.
You know what? As I was watching that first episode, and they're like fighting and running around, even though it's Christmas time, they all looked a little sweaty, and I was like, this must be driving Rick nuts.
No, I never once felt like
that they were sweaty.
Oh, you know why? Because it was so freaking cold in New York that I watched the first 2 episodes while I was there.
Oh, you were hoping for sweaty.
And I was like sitting in this house, wrapped in a down comforter with having a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and 2 pairs of pants on with the thing watching it. There was no way I was going to think that they didn't have the air conditioning on in this show.
So Keira Knightley plays Helen, who is the wife of the Secretary of State for Defense, which is sounds like 2 positions because we're American, but that is 1 position in England. So good for them. Combine those 2. And she has a secret identity. She is a Black Dove, who is part of this. Black Doves is this organization that collects information and secrets and sells it to the highest bidder. And she she has her husband and twin children and has this happy homemaker life, but is secretly leading this secret identity.
Isn't it interesting? It's an interesting concept of an agency because it's not tied to a government, and they're spies, but they're spies that will give the information they get to whoever pays the most amount of money for it.
You have no loyalty to your country or government, unless they pay you the most money. And then the other character, Ben Whishaw, plays Sam, who is an old friend of hers, who is also an assassin. Very sexy. And a bottom assassin. Yes, you find out in the first episode.
Yeah.
He is a bottom.
I mean, I think that they're like, we're gonna go all in on this first episode because it doesn't happen again.
No, there's no other sex. You see him in bed with his partner later on. They're in bed naked. But you don't you don't see anything. He's full on. He's up against the window in his hotel room, and the guy's behind him just going to town. And he looks so bored.
Well, I mean, first of all, it can't be that great. And his phone rings and he answers it. But
and he's like,
but you gotta go with this, right? His job is very important, and his job is to keep her alive.
Yes.
And so he could be doing anything, and his phone could ring, and it's like, oh, she's in trouble this second.
Yeah.
You must
it
go
doesn't
save
matter
her life.
what you're doing.
So
it doesn't matter what you're taking in that moment.
You know, he just walks away. You hear, and he goes, he goes and saves her.
Yeah.
That poor guy.
Yeah. Well, you know,
the guy who's like, you know, the top of the situation is like, okay, well, bye. I do like his character a lot. Like in the very beginning, because he goes into that bar and he's drinking, and this guy comes up and he's kind of playing at hitting on him. Yeah. And he's just like, you know what? Let's cut to the chase. I'm going to pay for this drink and I'm going to leave. And you can come with me or you can stay.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's
Actually,
go
he's got a stupid little party hat on, and he goes, I'm going to pay for my drink and go up to my room. If you take that stupid hat off, you can come with me. Yeah. And he goes, hat off. Let's go. So it's Christmas time. That's why we can talk about it now, because it's a Christmas show. And you know it's a Christmas show because did you notice whenever there's a scene in Helen's house, there's a tree in every fucking room. So you know the entire time it's Christmas. Yeah. Tree in the bedroom, tree in the kitchen, tree in the dining room, tree in the den. There is a tree in every fucking room. In the entranceway, there's a tree on the side table.
And you don't watch the Fraser reboot, but I know it's
Not
Christmas
yet.
because they say Happy Christmas. And there's a scene in the Fraser reboot where this guy says Merry Christmas, and she goes, we say Happy Christmas in England. And he goes, yeah, it's not right. So every time they say Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. This has nothing to do with the show, but I also watched Carry On, that new movie on Netflix.
Oh, is that good?
So good.
Looks good.
But Taron Egerton, he plays an American TSA agent. And throughout the entire movie, I was like, you know, his American accent is really good. And the very last line of the movie is somebody passing by that he knows. And he says, hey, Happy Christmas. And I was like, you damn Brit.
Just ruin it all.
You just ruined the whole movie.
So anybody who's keeping account when you watch this movie, just know that he doesn't die.
Well, you know he's not going to die. He's the lead.
He has the last word.
I don't think anyone went into this movie thinking he's going to die in it.
No.
They don't die in those kinds of movies.
We still don't know if Jason Bateman makes it out or not. But he plays the evil guy in this.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, it looks good. I watched the preview for it. I'll probably
It's
watch
also
it.
during Christmas time, so it's a Christmas movie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it felt very
Do
Die
they
Hard
have
like.
sex? Because if they do, we can talk about it.
Jason Bateman and Only in My Mind.
Is he gay? The other one?
Taron Egerton? No, not to my knowledge. No.
Oh, okay.
He's one of those actors who doesn't talk about his sexuality, but he's been rumored to date women, and I don't think he's not out if he is.
I loved Kingsman.
Kingsman is such a good movie.
He's so good in that.
All of them, even the ones that people are like, oh, those are shitty. I loved all the Kingsman movies.
Yeah.
The prequel one with Ray Fiennes. Did you see that one?
What's the girl? Amy Adams? Is she in one?
No.
There's one about a girl, Argyle something.
I haven't seen Argyle.
Okay, I think it's a Kingsman thing.
No.
No,
Argyle is based off of like an old comic book, I believe.
Okay, what do I know?
But no, Julianne Moore is in the second one, and so is Elton John.
And Channing Tatum.
Yeah, and people give it shit all the time.
They kidnap Elton John.
I fucking love that movie.
I think it's funny.
But the prequel, you saw the prequel with Ray Fiennes?
No.
You need to watch that one. That's really good. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, but you should check that out. It's a really good movie. So it's Christmas time in London.
This is why we can't do an episode, because I love it. Oh, by the way, just to extend this a little longer, I found out that our accountants listen to this podcast. I had a call with them on Sunday.
Thanks for listening.
I had a call on Sunday, yesterday morning, and we were talking about it, and I was like, save it for the podcast, which is the thing I joke about all the time.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, yeah. She goes, you guys do a really good job of that. I listened to it. And I was like, oh. I mean, it's so funny. I anytime somebody says they listen or that they read my article, my reaction is complete surprise.
Yeah. That bodes well for your faith in this show.
Or my self-esteem, I guess.
We'll get you therapy. So the show opens. Put these on. So the show opens with a gentleman who is on the phone with two other people. There's three of them, and there's something mysterious happening. Within the first minute of it, all three of them are murdered.
Boom, everyone's dead.
All
Movie's over.
Dead.
That was good.
So you're like, oh, I hope those weren't the leads because they're all dead. We meet Keira Knightley's character Helen, who we meet at a Christmas party with another individual by the name of Reed, who is played by
Adele.
Adele?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, her name is
Large Adele.
I wrote down Sarah Lancashire.
She's good in this, don't you think?
She's very good. And the way, because like all of the previews that I saw of this, it's like Keira Knightley, Ben Whishaw, and Sarah Lancashire. And I was like, is she in something?
She's probably really famous.
She's a famous British actress, I'm sure. So she shows up. We find out she kind of runs the Black Doves. Helen is kind of in not undercover, but I mean, she's with her husband and they are her kids, but it's kind of her cover. So they have a connection in the government. But Helen has been having an affair. Oh, Helen.
Oh, Helen.
Why would you do that? And
what about the kids, Helen?
Just to tie things up nicely, she's having an affair with one of the three individuals who was killed in the first minute of the show. And
she's not.
And she's not happy because while she does have a husband and she does have children, she was in love with this guy, whose name is Jason, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, she has a husband and kids, but that's her job, is to have this husband and kids and to work him for information since he's so high up in the government. So then she wanted to leave that and take the kids, and she met this guy and was like, oh, this is my out.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, and this is probably, because it's her job, Helen is very good at shutting her emotions off. Like you can see she's all emotional. She just found out the guy that she loves is dead. And then she goes in the room, smile like, let's dance, honey. Just completely separates herself from that. And I feel like that's very important to her job. So Sam ends up coming into town. Reed is concerned that the individuals who killed Jason might have done so to get to Helen. So she's concerned of her safety. So she brings her old friend Sam into town to keep Helen safe and away from potential killers who might kill her. That is when we meet him at the hotel. He's drinking champagne. Guy wearing a birthday hat comes over, flirting with him, and he's like, take your stupid fucking hat off and let's go upstairs and bone. So yeah. Helen, let's see. She goes to Jason's flat. Now, I don't know how rental housing works in England. Was that old lady his doorman, or was he renting a room? Because it looked like the space she was checking out was his apartment, but like it was an apartment upstairs from her house. I don't understand how the rental worked.
I assume that she's like the super of the building.
She's like this older lady, and when she opened it, it looked like it was just like the entryway to her house. I was confused by it.
I feel like it's sort of like, like a super, or like her job is to manage the property.
Yeah,
or she's like a property manager, and so you ring the doorbell and she comes in or whatever, and it's probably just like a lobby area, and then you go upstairs and you have all the different apartments.
Yeah. It looked weird to me.
That was my assumption.
I don't know how people do things in England, but it's fine. So Helen goes there, and she's up in Jason's flat and finds his vape, and she's like puffing away on his vape. And I was like, oh, that's probably why they shot him. Nobody likes a vape.
Well, I mean, he was going to die of whatever diseases you get from vaping if they didn't kill him. So they did him a favor.
2 cops, I'll use air quotes, 2 cops show up. You can tell right away that they're not real cops because they are shady acting. Also, they're ladies. No, I'm just kidding. They are ladies, but they are acting very shifty, and you can tell they're not actual cops because they're like, hey, and she's like, oh, your friends were already here and took everything that they wanted, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're new cops. We got other stuff to do. And they're like, oh, his girlfriend is upstairs. And so they're like, oh, so they shoot and kill this poor old lady. She was letting you upstairs. I don't know why I had to offer. So they go upstairs, and there's a big old fight scene. And just when it looks like Helen is done in, Sam shows up and shoots one of the girls, blows her back out with a shotgun. And the other one
brains out all over her.
Yeah. Blood all over her face. It's delightfully gory. So Sam drives Helen home and tells her that, basically lays out the premise of the rest of the show in their conversation. And Sam's like, I'm here to keep you and your family safe and alive while we find out who killed Jason and why. And then she goes, and I will have my revenge. And I was like, there you go. That's the scene that lays out the entire show for those who didn't know what was happening. So in order to do this, Sam's going to need some weapons. So he goes to a music store, which is a front for him collecting his weapons, and gets a shit ton of weapons, and fills up a suitcase. And as he's leaving, guitar case filled with weapons. And as he's leaving, a delightful American homosexual comes running up to him. They know each other from the past. And it's one of those shows where it's like they make little comments about things, and you're like, oh, that'll come back around, and they'll explain that. And he's like, we haven't seen you in 7 years. And he looks at the camera. Remember that, audience, 7 years. And it's like, what are you doing back now? And he's like, oh, yeah, I had business in town. And he's like, you're coming around for dinner. So he makes plans to go have dinner with the gays that he knew before he left town. And starts going around investigating. They find out that Jason was shot by a sniper, and he finds the bullet casings with fingerprints on them, which seems a little convenient. So they're kind of laying it out for this like political thriller to start going on.
Yes.
Sam, I did find this funny. Sam goes to dinner at his friend's flat, and they make coq au vin. So there's a couple of cock jokes, which I thought were delightful. Says that he left town. He had an ex-boyfriend by the name of Michael, and something happened. They keep doing flashbacks. Like they're like, oh, have you seen Michael since you've been back in town? And then they flash back, and they show Michael with blood on his face.
And you know who played Michael?
A man.
Yes, Michael was played by a man. Omari Douglas. He plays gay number 2. This is how I refer to them. What's the guy's name? The main guy?
Sam.
He's gay. And then this is gay too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gay also, you mean?
And the lead.
Or gay number
what's the
2?
lead's name again?
Keira Knightley?
Yeah. What's her name in the show?
Oh, Helen.
Yeah, she's girl.
Okay.
So all my notes are like girl and gay, go do blah 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 blah.
It does have very Will and Grace feel, the show.
Yeah, and then there's gay goes to gay 2's house. So anyway, Omar Douglas, he is he's the black kid from It's a Sin.
Oh.
And in finding that out, because I'm like, where do I know this guy from? Did you know that there's a show called It's a Sin After Hours?
I did not.
And it's where it's like a sort of a talkback style with the director and the cast about the show. So I'm totally gonna go watch that.
Oh, interesting. And that is on Netflix?
Yes.
Or Max? Or
probably
Peacock?
Max, because it's a Max show. Yes?
Oh, it was on Max. Yeah, I couldn't remember where we watched it. So yeah, they're having dinner and drinking and doing lines of coke. Apparently,
yeah.
I thought
there's
it was a very high class. Like they're in a nice apartment and they're having coq au vin and drinking wine. And I was like, ooh, classy. And then he's like, pass the lines, and I was like,
I think cocaine's making a comeback, a big comeback, because like all these shows that I'm watching, of course not in Gypsy because they're classy.
Sure.
But in Sunset Boulevard, there was a
they do lines. They just weren't
coke.
on stage.
And then there was and then what was I watching? Something else recently. Oh well. It just seems to be people doing it all the time.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I did a line before the show.
I don't do coke, and I don't understand people who do.
I like Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. That's a healthy Coke.
Keeps me skinny. Although I think like Coke probably keeps some people skinny too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Really? Maybe we'll try it out. Nothing like a good skinny Coke. Where was I? I don't remember where I was.
Dinner. They were having dinner.
Oh, yeah. So he finds out that while he's been gone in the 7 years, Michael got married and they adopted a kid. And he's all like, oh, he's moved on. No. And then when they're doing lines of coke, his friend's like, by the way, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I reached out to Michael and told him you're back in town. Also, him and his husband are divorced, so he's a single dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, good to know. So one of the things that Helen, when they were at the Jason's flat, found a hard drive, and he was going through it, or she was going through it, and found numbers he had called, and somehow Jason was tied up with Kai Ming. Now you're probably wondering who Kai Ming is. We all were watching this show. And she is the daughter of the late Chinese ambassador to the UK, who died of a drug overdose, but not really. The Chinese are like, oh, you're saying he died of a drug overdose, but we think we think he was murdered. There was a crime afoot, they said. And then this is where in the show, it just all starts to pile on and you're like, who's this guy? They just start introducing a bunch of new characters.
And it goes back in time and back to the future.
Like the next episode 2, they go back to 2014 and they show you how, Helen became a black dove and how she met her husband Wallace and how she was just getting information and then started to fall for him and went back and,
do you know what? I think that actually there's one reason they ended up getting married. One reason. Because she left her mom's lighter at his house.
Oh,
and she didn't go back because she cared about
his
him.
Hotel.
Yeah, she went back because she wanted that lighter, and then it sparked a thing. But then he kept getting promoted, and then it helped her job to stick around. So,
yeah. There's so many names here that I just get lost in it.
That's why I just described them. So there's CIA guy.
Yes.
I just said what their jobs were or something about their physical appearance. I never wrote the name down.
So the bullying casings that Sam found, they're like, oh, conveniently we can trace the fingerprints, and it's this guy. His name's Elmore Fitch. I did write that down. Elmore Fitch. So they go to his apartment and they're like, this all seems a little too convenient. And then Sam realizes there's a bomb in the apartment. So they jump out the window and the apartment blows up. And Helen ends up going back to her house, and who's there? Elmore Finch, and he's got a gun, and he's going to kill her, and he goes, but I'm looking for a recording. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And neither do we. We have no idea what he's talking about, but he goes, there's a recording. And they have a fight, and she ends up walking him out to her shed in her garden and killing him. Puts a bullet in his head. We assume you don't see it, but you hear the gun go off.
He's very polite though. It's all very cordial, and he's like,
guessing this is a British thing.
Do it fast.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you got my gun, did you?" And she's like, "Oh, sure did." And he's like, "Oh, right." She goes, "Oh, to my garden," and he's like, "You shoot me?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, make it quick." And then they just slowly walk out there, and he's like, "Lovely garden you have here," and she's like, "Oh, well, thank you." Pop in the head.
Very well done.
All very polite.
Very, very well reenacted.
And this is when I noticed as they're fighting through the house that Helen has a Christmas tree in every freaking room of her house. And I was like, they really want you to remember it's Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy
everybody.
Christmas. Sam goes to do the job. I don't know what that note means, but Sam went to do something.
He goes, well, wait, Sam.
Sam is the gay guy.
Okay, so Gay, so that we're back in time. Gay gets hired to go kill people. Is that the job?
I think that's one of the flashbacks that happens. He goes back because, that's what it is. Sam, the reason we find out the reason he left is 7 years ago. He was hired to do this job to kill, 3 or 4 brothers. I don't remember. I think it was 4.
It was 3 that she had pictures of, and then she said there'll be a 4th one in the car, and I don't have his photo, but go ahead and kill him too.
Kill all 4 of the brothers. So he gets there and he guns the 3 down, and then when he gets to the 4th brother, he sees that he's just a little child.
Right, and he's his whole thing is that he has a code. His father was a trigger man, and his father taught him that there is a code and that you have to live with honor, and he only kills people who deserve it, and he won't kill children, that sort of a thing. So he doesn't shoot the kid.
Yeah. He leaves, and then he's going to investigate some of the clues that they had found with the guy who is now dead in Helen's shed. And when he goes in there, he notices everyone's dead. He's walking through there and everybody's dead. And he finds a camera. This is where they start to connect everything. So the Kai Ming, who is the missing Chinese ambassador's daughter, who initially was not tied to this other than she was with Jason, he finds out that she is tied in with this guy whom the kid he let live is now grown up, and he is part of the people who kidnapped her.
Yes.
And he's like, oh no, it all circled around. If I had not let that kid live, then he would not have been able to kidnap her.
Now Sam's whole thing is he's back in town after being gone for 7 years.
Yes.
And so his old boss is like, I hired you to kill this guy and you didn't do it, so you need to go make good on this, or I'm going to kill your ex and his daughter. And so that's kind of a subplot to the whole thing. And by the way, she is divine in this. Lenny is her name, and I love her.
She is in something. I didn't go back and look up the whole cast of things they had been in, but she was in something that I have seen.
Yeah, she's famous. Did I write down? I didn't write down what she did. I just said that her name is Catherine Hunter, and it just looked like she was in a lot of British things. But she's also, I think she also directs and stuff like that. So she's been around the block.
Yeah. The 2 cops, lady cops, who had come in and they fought and they killed one of them. Turns out they worked for this lady.
Yes.
And Williams is the one who didn't get shot, who survived. And she doesn't like Sam because he shot her friend. And she's got a new partner now, Meredith, who I'm pretty sure they're lesbians.
Every time I wrote their name, I didn't write their names. I just wrote lesbians.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they don't specifically say that they're together, but there's a later episode where you find they're sharing an apartment because they take when they get Kai Ming back, they take her back to the apartment, and she's complaining about, the apartment not being organized or whatever. And I just got the feeling that they've been living together now and that they're girlfriends.
Well, I mean, her partner died, and within an hour, she had a new partner.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
That a lesbian thing? That's what you were saying there?
I'm just kidding. I mean, I think they never say it, but I mean, I think it's pretty much implied.
Yeah. So as the show goes on, you find out that the Chinese ambassador's death not only involves higher-ranking officials in the British government, but the CIA is involved. The Chinese think that a CIA agent is responsible for the ambassador's death because he has been dating Kai Ming.
Do you know who played that guy?
No, but he's very handsome.
Does he look familiar?
He looks. Everyone in the show looked familiar. I didn't look any of them up.
He's the cop. He's the young cop from True Detective. The ones we covered that Jodie Foster was in.
Oh, okay.
He's the young cop who's the son of the other cop.
Yes, that's why he looks familiar.
Yeah, he's very good looking.
So one of my I thought was one of the saddest parts of this is they're talking when they finally get Kai Ming and they're talking to her about the CIA agent. And she's like, I'm just really worried about my boyfriend. I love him so much. And then when they talk to him, he's like, she was just a coked up tramp who I was just trying to get close to the ambassador. And I was like, poor Kai Ming. It's all right. She ends up with the two lesbians at the end.
No shit. Isn't that the weirdest thing? Like, the end of this was just hilarious to me.
Yeah. Those who survived all had a wonderful, happy Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Adele. What's her name?
She's
Reed. She did not.
She survived, so that's good. But she didn't really get what she wanted out of this.
But she also is just alone. She's her
there,
sipping
at the very end. It's her and her. I think that's her stepdaughter on the couch. And
isn't that the one that tried to kill the girl?
Was that the same one? Well, she's not alone then. There's a girl on her couch.
I think that she's.
Do you think she's a lesbian?
I don't know.
She definitely has a lesbian haircut.
She has a Patricia Arquette haircut from Medium.
Yeah, it's gray hair, but it's like bangs. This bob that kind of waves, curves. Yeah, it's
bangs
a wig.
And bob.
I'm pretty sure it's a wig, but it's cute. It's a cute wig. I don't remember where we are, but we'll just hit the high points. So through the course of the show, Sam wants to reestablish his relationship with Michael. Just going to focus on the gay stuff.
Yeah, let's focus on the gays.
So Michael's like, he goes to Michael's house and he's like, oh, do I ring the bell? And then he turns around and Michael's standing there. And he goes inside and Michael basically tells him, I have been scared to death my entire life. And Sam's like, oh, they were after me, not you. And he goes, I'm not scared of them. I'm scared of you. And he goes, just somebody who I loved and I wanted to give my whole life to, turns out was lying about everything to me. And he goes, I have to look over my shoulder all the time, and that's because of you. So he ends up leaving, and he tells him, he's like, he ends up texting him afterwards. And he's like, I don't know, what's going on, but I think that I still want to see you. And he goes, think about it and text me. Yes, you want me to see me again, or no, you never want to see me again. So he ends up texting him yes. And he's like, oh, thank God, I'm going to go see him. Unfortunately,
lesbians get shot.
He, because of other events that happen, Helen, a shot lesbian, and a CIA agent all accompany Sam to Michael's house. And he's like, I am so sorry to do this to you. But can we all come in? And then this part was funny because I thought it was a good idea. And then everybody scoffed at him, but she shot. And Michael says, I saw this once in a movie that if you put maxi pads, like period pads, on the wound, it'll sop up the blood and stop the bleeding. And they all looked at him like he was stupid. And I thought, that's a brilliant idea, Michael. Right? Go get those maxi pads.
Right, because then they were like, I think they were scoffing as to like, why do you have them?
Oh, yeah, because he had a friend who, I guess, needed them. So he had them at his apartment. But I thought that was a brilliant idea. And she's like, just get me some gauze. And I'm like, girl, you're shot in this man's apartment. How about you be a little polite to him?
Yeah.
You know, because you're being very rude to him. I know you just got shot, but it's his house. Have some respect.
And it's interesting, too, like, everything that happens there, that girl never wakes up. She's a heavy sleeper.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Because
the daughter, she's 4 years old.
The daughter, yes. Because he kept saying, keep it down. My daughter's sleeping. And it's like, dude, if this hasn't woke her up yet, she's fine.
Yeah.
She probably has, like, her earbuds in, listening to some
Kids
white noise while she
days.
sleeps.
Wait a minute. I listen to green noise while I sleep with my headphones in.
Well, when Dylan welcomes a shot-up lesbian and a CIA agent into his house, you'll never know.
He probably already has.
He probably has, yeah.
I would never know.
So yeah, I mean, basically, it's this whole espionage thing. Again, we've already given some of the ending away. I don't want to give the whole ending away. The show's only been out for 2 weeks, and I thought it was a great show. A lot of it is it's very predictable in these kind of shows. Yeah. But I love the chemistry between Keira Knightley and Ben Whishaw. I think that they work well together. They've got, like I said, a Will and Grace thing going on that I really dig. And it's already been announced that it's been picked up for a season 2.
Oh, really? I was going to ask. I didn't know that. I kind of wish it was just contained to one season.
Yeah, because it does end kind of nicely.
Yeah, it ties it all up nicely. But it also ends with a hint of some big promotion coming to somebody. And so you're like, oh, well, there'll probably be a second season because now they're all in a position.
Yeah, because as the show barrels on, it looks like, oh, okay, everything that you guys worked for and that you have, it's all going to fall apart. And then everything just kind of works out for them. And the ones who live kind of go back into the jobs that they were doing, a little bit elevated, actually. Some people are getting promoted within the government.
Yeah, and some people make arrangements that they're not going to get killed. The blonde hair lesbian, she looks super familiar, but I didn't look her up, so I don't know what she was in.
I didn't look any of them up. However, there is, in the final 2 episodes, a lovely cameo by Tracy Ullman. So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
I love Tracy Ullman. She's got a nice little Cockney accent.
Yeah, and she's like, it's in a role I've never seen her do anything like that before. It's a very serious, like, mob bossy kind of a thing, and it was really kind of cool.
And I loved her in it. I thought she was great.
The show is great. The show really is good. And the relationships, it's funny. But it's also not dumb enough to enter award season as a comedy because it's not a comedy.
No. It was a nice, I don't know if you watch a whole lot of British shows, but it was like this nice blending of like a British procedural and like an American espionage spy thriller. I thought it blended nicely, the two.
Yeah, I really liked the show, and I like the idea that like, there's this like, and I kind of felt like I got where Michael was coming from when he's like, oh, this guy that I'm with is a murderer, but I kind of like him, so I'm gonna kind of maybe overlook this and try to. So like I'm watching the show, and I'm like, here's this terrible person who murders people for a living, but he's so likable. Yeah. Like, the character is so likable.
He's very charming and adorable in this.
He's great in it. And so it's just interesting, that whole thing. And, like, and she is really good at playing, like, this, like, I'm a spy badass who's going to beat the shit out of people, but I'm this loving mother. Yeah. And so I'm going to make both of those work.
With both of them, that's kind of the scary part, is they both are it's so easy for them to go from that killer to turning off the emotions and being like, oh, I'm just a good, happy family person, and that's a little, and I can see why that would be frightening to Michael.
Yeah, and I think like Lenny describes Sam as like his problem being that he's a trigger man with a soul. Yeah, or he's a trigger man with a warm heart, and that's a bad combination. But it makes for a great TV series. I don't know, I really liked it.
There are 2 things. This isn't really a spoiler because it's more in the middle of it. But I think it kind of speaks to why Sam is the way he is. But when he decides to be a trigger man, because his dad was a trigger man, his first hit is his father.
Yeah, and they don't tell you that right away. They just show him do his first hit, and she's
you
like,
can see that it's
and Lenny
weighs
says
on him.
That's the hardest one you're ever gonna have to do, and you just think it weighs on him
because it's his first one.
Yeah, you just think that because it's his first one, but a couple episodes later, you find out that it was his father.
Yeah, because his father had betrayed somebody, and that he had a hit put out on him.
And he broke the code.
Yeah,
even though he taught his son never break the code, he broke the code, and Lenny said, there are rules to this, and this guy broke the rules, so you've got to go kill him. But there's a thing that the father teaches the son, and that's that before you kill somebody, you look them in the eye, because you're the last person they're ever going to see, and you owe them that. That's part of the code, is like you owe them that thing. You can't just kill them. You have to look them in the eye. So he walks in there and he takes his glasses and his helmet off and all this stuff and looks at his dad, and his dad like knows, oh, he's here to kill me, and then he does. Mm-hmm. Very gentlemanly.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is another thing that I really liked is when they do the flashback to show why Sam left. And it's because...
That's such a good scene.
Yeah. And he's fighting him off, and the people who had come to kill him because he didn't kill the kid. So Lenny puts the hit out on him. And he tells... Michael, he goes, just you wrap your arms around me, close your eyes, and just follow me as I'm going down. And Michael opens his eyes while Sam's going around shooting all these people. And he's just looking up at the sky, and, it's a nice clear sky. And he's like got his head pressed to him, and he kind of like, smells his body. And it's just like in this loving embrace, and just like, they like meet each other's eyes. It's this very romantic kind of scene while he's running down the stairs shooting all these people. I thought that was really well done. I really liked that.
It wasn't Lenny that put a hit on him at that point. It was the kid.
Oh, that's right. It was the kid who came back to
told everybody, this is the guy that killed the three brothers. And so they went to go kill him. And it was just really cool. Like that whole scene is great because it's like, this is the end of their relationship. It's the end of Michael's life in this way that he thought it was going to live. Yeah. Now the curtain's lifted and you see the wizard for who he is, and it's crazy, right? And it's wicked crazy. So
one short day for your life to end.
But that whole scene is great. It's very intense, and it's really good. So what do you give it, grape-wise?
Oh, I give it, I'll say 3 grapes. I'm going to go 3 grapes. I know that's probably generous for a show that only has 1 season, but I'll give it 3 grapes.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I feel the same thing. I was like, I can't just go 2.5, and I don't want to say 2 3/4 because then you're just being stupid. So you got to go 3. You got to go with 3 grapes and say it's 100% worth it. It's not spiritual moving. Like, I'll tell you, like, Gypsy, 3 grapes. All the grapes. Everything about it. But is this the same caliber? No. But it's still worthy of that. I mean, it's something like, it's not a, hey, if you've got some time, see this. This is more of a, you should seek this out and watch it because it's really good.
You should definitely sit down. I feel like our 3 grapes is just, it's not enough. Because it's like, I feel like there needs to be more breathing room for things.
Yeah, because you want to say 4, right?
Yeah.
If you want to give it 4 out of 5, but giving it 2 out of 3 is not good enough.
Yeah.
All right.
4 out of 5 sounds good.
Should we go to 5 grapes now?
We should go to 5 grapes.
So what we'll do is with our 100th episode, we will go to 5 grapes.
Okay. So this is 3 grapes, but if we had 5 grapes, this would be 4
out of 5.
But yeah, I really dig it.
So
I'm looking forward to
the
second season.
The 100th episode, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and we're going to re-rate everything we've ever watched on a scale of 5 grapes. No,
all right, I'm down for it.
So yeah,
I don't know if there's. I mean, it's a new show, so I don't know if there's a Rotten Tomatoes for it.
Rotten Tomatoes. You want to do Rotten Tomatoes? Did we forget for a minute that we were recording?
Is it both or just critics?
Both.
Oh, okay. I will say critics gave it an 88 and audiences gave it a 92.
I will tell you that critics gave it a 94.
Ooh.
And I will tell you that audiences probably figured out it was a gay show and gave it a gay show rating.
Oh, no.
Yeah. 64.
Oh, yeah, that's review bomb.
That's review bomb.
And it's probably, I mean, the gay thing probably has something to do with it. But if you look at this, everyone who is a badass in the show is either a woman or a gay man.
Yeah.
So that probably has a lot to do with it. Even like the straight CIA guy, he's CIA, but even he's kind of a puss in a lot of his scenes. Like he's down, he's like, "Oh, I don't have a gun," and they're like, "Just stay in the car, straight man. We've got this." And then the gay and the girl are like, "Pow, pow." So I'm sure the straight men were watching it like, "This is crap."
Here's the message that I have to people. Like, how many fucking spy movies are out there, or action movies where people are beating the shit out of people and killing them, and John Wick style and all this shit?
It's all straight guys.
Like, how many of them have a gay character in them? Or have a badass gay character? This one. So
we just want this one.
So relax. No one's taking over your genre. We get one. And he's even a co-star. I mean, come on.
You know what?
Ridiculous.
The only thing I will change about what you said is, no, we're coming for all of them. You get none of them. They're all going to be gays from now on. Gays and women, and people of color.
Our gay spy is going to go into your straight movie and fuck the guy that was your guy. Right?
Yeah.
So watch out, Liam Neeson.
Watch
Here
out,
comes the
John
gay.
Wick. Here comes Ben Bradshaw.
Yeah, and for your movie, he's going to be the top.
But even if he's the bottom and wants to be, there's nothing wrong with it.
And that is the real gay agenda.
All right. Good times.
Look, so we had to say that was all a joke. I mean, seriously. I don't want a million moms to listen to this and be like, I told you it was happening.
I would love it.
Started with children's book. It started with two penguins, and it ends with Liam Neeson.
I would love it if they listened to it and were offended. But yeah, so great show. Check it out. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And make it a double feature and watch Carry On also, because that's a very good movie. Nothing gay
Make it a double
in
feature.
it.
That would be 10 hours of television.
Wait a minute. There is something gay in it. There is. It's a very small thing, but there is something gay in it. So watch it.
Right.
Because we infiltrated that movie too.
So we're not watching anything new for next week. We're just going to talk about.
We're going to talk
recap old
about
things.
what our favorite things we watched in the first 100 episodes, our favorite episodes, that kind of thing.
We'll do like a top 5.
Yeah,
top 5 and worst 5.
Yeah.
And we'll have Andreas who's going to be here with us. He'll do the same.
You'll hear a different voice, which would be good for y'all, I guess, if you're sick and tired of hearing both of us.
And if you like him more than us, then you can F off. Just kidding.
Or don't tell us. Tell Andreas.
Yeah, tell him.
Maybe he'll start his own podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
we'll
then
do a whole
know.
channel of shows.
He'll be like, hey, I started a podcast. And be like, oh, they liked you. Okay. So yeah, tune in next week for our 100th episode. And until then, the cork is back in the bottle.